The sea whispers softly in the stillness of night, carrying secrets older than time itself. Waves rise and fall like breathing, a rhythm that binds the world above and the world below. Beneath the surface lies a kingdom unseen, a realm of mystery where light dances with shadow. Legends speak of a treasure hidden deep, guarded by Poseidon, the ancient god of the ocean. This treasure is not gold nor silver, but something far greater, a gift beyond measure. It is said to hold the wisdom of the waters, the balance of life, the voice of the tides. Sailors have dreamed of it, poets have sung of it, yet few have dared to seek its truth. Tonight, we journey into that story, carried by the current, guided by whispers of the sea. Close your eyes, hear the sound of waves, and imagine a path that leads beneath the deep. It begins with a single call, soft as foam, strong as tide, reaching across time to you. This is the tale of Poseidon and the treasure of the deep, a voyage of wonder and discovery. Listen now, as the ocean opens its heart, and the story begins where silence meets the sea. The wind was quiet, but the sea was alive, humming like a choir beneath the fading sky. A sailor sat on the deck, listening, waiting, his heart echoing the rhythm of the waves. His name was Callan, a dreamer who believed the sea held voices that only few could hear. Fishermen spoke of storms, merchants counted gold, but Callan listened for whispers instead. They told him of a treasure hidden deep, a secret watched over by Poseidon himself. It was not a tale of greed, but of wonder, a promise of wisdom carried in salt and foam. Every night, as lanterns flickered, he leaned over the railing, hearing the sea breathe. The waves seemed to call his name, soft at first, then stronger, until his dreams were filled. One dream returned again and again, a pearl glowing bright beneath endless waters. It floated in silence, casting light on creatures of the deep who bowed as if in reverence. When he woke, his skin carried the chill of waves, though he had never left his bed. Callan knew the dream was no accident, but a summons, a path carved in tides and stars. The villagers warned him not to chase it, for the sea was vast and riddled with secrets. But his heart could not be silenced, for it beat with the same rhythm as the ocean. He remembered an old tale from his grandmother, told when firelight painted the walls. She had spoken of Poseidon, not as a god of wrath, but as a guardian of balance. She said the sea gave gifts to those who sought harmony, not conquest or pride. Her words lingered in him, shaping his belief that the treasure was not mere myth. Callan stood on the deck, looking out at the horizon where moonlight touched the waves. The night carried a strange calm, as if the ocean waited, patient and knowing. Then, a group of dolphins appeared, their bodies slicing silver arcs across the water. They leapt and played, yet their eyes turned toward him, glimmering with quiet intent. Callan felt as though they were speaking, not in words, but in something deeper. They circled the ship, leading it gently eastward, where stars touched the sea. He followed, not with sails or ropes, but with trust, letting the dolphins guide. The sailors nearby whispered of omens, fearing the deep, yet Callan only smiled. He believed they were messengers, guides sent from Poseidon himself. Each leap, each splash seemed like a note in a song older than time. The melody carried him, filling his chest with wonder, stirring his courage. Hours passed, yet he felt no weariness, only the certainty of destiny unfolding. The dolphins led him toward reefs that shimmered beneath the moon. The water glowed faintly, alive with corals that pulsed like lanterns of the deep. It was as if the ocean was opening its heart, revealing a hidden threshold. Kalon leaned over the edge, staring at the colors, and his breath caught. The reef was alive with fish that moved in patterns, weaving shapes like runes. For a moment, he felt the presence of Poseidon, vast yet gentle. A whisper echoed in his mind, a voice that was not his own. Seek not what glitters, but what endures. The treasure is the song, not the gold. His heart pounded, and he closed his eyes, holding on to the voice. When he opened them, the dolphins were gone, leaving only the silent glow. But the message lingered, stronger than any dream he had known. Kalon knew this was the beginning, the first step into a journey untold. The waves rocked the ship, cradling him like a child, and the stars above seemed to nod. The sea had spoken, and he had listened. And now the path was clear. No longer a sailor searching for trade, he was a seeker of the deep. And as dawn broke across the horizon, Kalon whispered a vow. To follow the call, to honor the sea, to find the treasure not of gold, but of truth. The waves answered with a gentle sigh, carrying his promise into the endless blue. The night passed slowly, and the sea glowed faintly as the first light of dawn touched the horizon. Kalon sat on the deck, eyes heavy with sleeplessness, but his spirit carried the fire of wonder. Dreams had wrapped him again, visions of a pearl glowing like a star beneath endless waters. It was not just an object, but a beacon, a voice that called across tides and into his soul. The pearl seemed alive, humming with a rhythm that echoed the heartbeat of the sea itself. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw it, shining in the abyss, waiting for him to follow. This dream was different from others, for it did not fade like morning mist, but grew stronger. He felt as though the ocean itself had chosen him, placing the call directly in his heart. Sailors spoke of riches in faraway lands, yet Kalon longed for something beyond wealth. The pearl whispered of balance, of harmony, of truths hidden far beneath the waves. In his mind, he heard words he could not explain, soft like currents, yet powerful as storms. Follow the song, seek the light, find not possession, but understanding of the deep. Kalon shivered, though the morning was warm, as the message lingered inside him. He walked across the deck, watching gulls circle above, their cries sharp as bells. The dolphins from the night before had vanished, but their path remained clear. Something within him knew he was being guided, pulled by destiny's current. He leaned against the railing, staring down into waters painted with dawn's gold. For a moment, he thought he saw the pearl again, flickering beneath the surface. It pulsed gently, then faded, as though teasing him toward the unknown depths. His breath caught, and he whispered aloud, "I will follow, wherever the sea may lead." At that moment, the wind shifted, carrying the scent of salt and a promise of change. The waves rose slightly, not in anger, but in rhythm, almost like an answer to his vow. Kalon closed his eyes, feeling the ship sway, the sea rocking him with intent. He thought of his grandmother's voice, her tales of Poseidon as a guardian, not a tyrant. She had said that those who listened with open hearts would hear the ocean's secrets. Now he knew her words were true, for he had become one who could listen. The pearl was more than treasure. It was a symbol of that truth, a gift of the sea. But gifts were not taken by force. They were earned through trust and reverence. Kalon felt his path would not be one of struggle, but of learning and humility. The journey would test not his strength, but his spirit, his ability to hear and believe. A flock of birds dived suddenly, scattering silver fish that leapt in glittering arcs. Callan smiled, for even this seemed like part of the message, a sign of abundance. The sea was alive, not a mere expanse of water, but a breathing, teaching presence. And within its depths, the pearl waited, not as a prize, but as a revelation. He felt the call growing louder, like a song only he could hear, pulling him forward. The sailors around him did not notice, their eyes fixed on mundane tasks and trade. They lived on the surface, while he was being called into the heart of the deep. Every sound, every ripple, every shift of tide carried meaning now. He could no longer ignore the pull, for it had woven itself into his very soul. The pearl was not just his dream. It was a destiny set in motion by the sea itself. He looked eastward, where the horizon shimmered with light, and whispered again, "I will seek you, pearl of the deep, gift of Poseidon, guide of my heart." The waves answered softly, a sigh that promised both mystery and truth. And so began Callan's true journey, drawn not by gold, but by the song of the sea. A path of wonder stretched before him, hidden in the depths of Poseidon's realm. The dream was no longer just a dream, but a call that demanded his courage. And with each breath, he felt the pearl's glow, alive, waiting, eternal. The sun climbed higher, casting gold across the restless surface. Yet Callan felt a deeper pull below. The sea shimmered with life, and in the distance, sleek shadows broke the water with grace. Dolphins appeared again, leaping in arcs of silver, their voices carrying laughter on the wind. They moved as one, their rhythm flawless, a dance choreographed by the heartbeat of the sea. Callan leaned forward, eyes wide, for he felt their presence was no accident, but a summons. The dolphins swam closer, circling the ship, their eyes bright with something like recognition. It was as if they had been waiting, guardians of the path leading deeper into mystery. One leapt high, twisting in the air, splashing down with a sound like sudden applause. Callan laughed, though his chest ached with awe, for he knew he was being invited. The sailors muttered uneasily, warning that dolphins were omens, not guides, not friends. But Callan ignored them, for the dolphins' joy carried truth stronger than any warning. Their whistles and clicks rang clear, forming patterns that stirred echoes in his heart. He felt as though words floated in those sounds, a language older than mankind. "Come with us," the sounds seemed to say. "See what lies beyond the veil of waves." He closed his eyes, listening deeply, letting the rhythm of their voices sink into him. When he opened them again, the sea sparkled, and the dolphins surged eastward in unison. Without hesitation, Callan ordered the small vessel turned, letting the tide carry them forward. The dolphins swam ahead, their bodies glowing faintly as if lit by the morning sun below. He watched them, breathless, for it was no longer just a school of creatures, but guides. Each leap was a signal, each dive a marker, as though mapping a hidden trail. Hours passed, yet Callan felt time blur, carried on waves of wonder and certainty. The dolphins slowed as the ship neared a stretch of sea alive with radiant colors. Beneath the surface lay a coral forest, glowing softly as though lit from within. Fish of every hue swirled between the coral branches, weaving patterns of living art. The dolphins darted through the scene, playful yet deliberate, urging him to watch closely. Callan leaned over the edge, staring at the shapes that seemed more than natural. The fish swam in spirals, forming circles and lines, symbols traced in shifting silver. He felt the message clearly. This was not chance, but language painted by the sea. The dolphins leapt once more, showering him with spray that felt warm, almost electric. In his heart, he heard the same whisper that had haunted his dreams of the pearl. Listen not with ears alone, but with spirit, for the sea speaks in many voices. His breath trembled, for he knew he was witnessing something sacred, a teaching revealed. The sailors kept their distance, muttering of danger, but Calon's heart was calm. He understood the dolphins were not beasts, but envoys of Poseidon's realm. Their song rose higher, mingling with a hush of waves and the call of seabirds above. Calon placed his hand on the railing, eyes shut, letting the chorus wash through him. Visions filled his mind, images of the pearl, glowing, waiting in a cradle of shadows. He saw turtles, vast and slow, carrying wisdom across centuries beneath silent waters. He saw corals breathing, alive with secrets of tides older than any human memory. And always, in the center, he saw the pearl, constant, radiant, unyielding in its light. When he opened his eyes, tears blurred his sight, though he felt no sorrow, only awe. The dolphins had stilled now, swimming gently, their gaze fixed upon him in silence. Calon bowed his head slightly, whispering thanks, though no words could capture his gratitude. At that moment, he understood. They had given him not a path, but a lesson. The treasure was not only in reaching the pearl, but in hearing the song of the sea. Every creature, every current, every sound was part of the same endless truth. The dolphins turned, swimming once more, leading him onward into the unknown. Calon followed without fear, for the ocean had spoken, and his heart was ready. The voyage had ceased to be his alone. It was now the story of man and sea united. The sun dipped lower, painting the sky with fire. Yet Calon felt only peace within. For the dolphins had shown him the beginning, and Poseidon's treasure was closer still. The evening sun softened, and the sea shimmered with colors that seemed painted by unseen hands. Calon leaned forward, staring into the waters, where reefs glowed like lanterns beneath the tide. The dolphins had vanished, leaving him alone with silence and the pulse of hidden wonders. Slowly, the ship drifted over a coral forest, vast and alive, whispering in hues of light. The corals were towers and arches, glowing with blues, greens, and radiant golds that pulsed gently. Fish moved in waves, their scales catching light like fragments of jewels scattered across the sea. Each movement seemed deliberate, a choreography of life older than men could ever know. Calon felt his breath falter, for it was as if the sea itself was showing him its heart. The corals seemed to sing, though no sound reached his ears, only a hum within his spirit. He closed his eyes, and the colors danced behind his lids, swirling in endless patterns. Visions came unbidden. Shores untouched, waves cradling islands, skies mirrored in still water. It was not imagination, but memory. The ocean sharing fragments of its eternal story. Calon opened his eyes, and the forest seemed to respond, glowing brighter beneath his gaze. He whispered thanks without knowing why, a prayer to something vast and listening. The sailors around him muttered of danger, claiming reefs lured men into ruin. But Calon felt no fear, only reverence, for this was not ruin, but revelation. The ship drifted slowly, guided by currents, until the coral formed a natural arch. It rose from the depths like a gate, adorned with swaying anemones and silver fish. Calon's heart quickened, for he knew this was a threshold, a passage into the deep. He touched the wooden railing, his fingers trembling with both awe and anticipation. The arch glowed faintly, and the waters beyond shimmered with light as if inviting him. The sailors hesitated, refusing to steer closer. whispering that gods dwelled in such places. But Callan stepped forward, steady, his voice calm yet firm as he gave his command. Let us pass through. The sea calls, and we must answer with courage, not fear. The crew obeyed reluctantly, their eyes downcast, while Callan's gaze never wavered. The ship glided forward, passing under the coral arch, and the sea seemed to sigh. A warmth spread through Callan's chest, a welcome as soft as the embrace of tide. Beyond the arch, the reef stretched endlessly, alive with light that pulsed in rhythm. It was not random, but ordered, as though the coral itself breathed and spoke. Shapes emerged in the glow, spirals, circles, paths that pointed deeper into the abyss. Callan recognized them, echoes of symbols seen before in his dreams of the pearl. His heart raced, for the signs were clear. This path had been prepared for him. He leaned over the railing, watching fish weave through the coral like words on a page. The message was simple, yet profound. Harmony, balance, life connected as one. The reef was not treasure to be taken, but wisdom revealed to those who listened. Callan pressed his hand to his chest, whispering, I hear you, and I will follow. The waters stirred gently, and a school of fish parted, revealing a trail of light. It stretched into the distance, glowing faintly like a star-lit road beneath the sea. The sailors gasped, crossing themselves, but Callan only smiled, for he understood. This was the sea's gift, the next step, a guiding thread woven in water and light. He felt Poseidon's presence near, not heavy or stern, but calm, watchful, eternal. The god's voice brushed his thoughts, as soft as foam, yet deeper than thunder. Walk with reverence, seeker, for every step is seen, every choice remembered. Callan bowed his head, not in fear but respect, and whispered, I will honor this path. The coral glowed brighter, as if answering, before softening once more to its gentle pulse. The ship moved slowly, rocking in time with the hidden heartbeat of the reef below. Callan stood tall, eyes fixed on the glowing path, his spirit steady, his purpose clear. The treasure was not yet found, but already he carried a gift, the wisdom of the coral. And as night fell, the reef lit the waters beneath like stars fallen into the sea. Callan whispered a vow to the deep, I will follow where you lead, until truth is mine. The ocean whispered back in, silence, its answer hidden in the glow of living light. The night deepened, and stars bloomed above like lanterns hung across a boundless sky. The sea mirrored them, turning dark waters into a field of silver fire. Callan stood alone on deck, watching the horizon blur into mystery and dream. The glowing path beneath the ship still shimmered faintly, like veins of light in the sea. It guided them steadily, though no hand touched the wheel, no sail caught wind. The sailors huddled in silence, fearful, whispering prayers under their breath. But Callan felt calm, his heart attuned to the rhythm of water and sky. He knew they were being carried by something greater, unseen yet certain. As he gazed down, bioluminescent sparks drifted near, tiny creatures glowing like stars. They pulsed in waves, forming shapes that rippled and dissolved, a language without sound. Callan knelt by the railing, hand outstretched, and the lights gathered near his touch. The glow clung to his fingers, warm and alive, as if answering his unspoken question. He whispered softly, Are you also part of the path? And the lights swirled brighter. A pattern formed, spirals curling outward, the same symbol shown in the coral reef. Callan's breath caught, for he understood this was confirmation, a message repeated. The sea was speaking again, not in words, but in light, urging him to trust. The glow spread wider, encircling the ship in rings of silver fire. The sailors gasped, clutching ropes, but no harm came, only wonder. The water itself seemed to hum, a sound felt more than heard, soft as a heartbeat. Calon closed his eyes, letting the vibration seep into him like a tide. Visions surged once more. Mountains beneath the sea, valleys carved by ages unseen. He saw vast creatures gliding through the deep, serene, guardians of secrets. A turtle as large as an island moved slowly, carrying corals upon its shell. Whales sang, their voices echoing like prayers across the endless water. And at the center of all visions, the pearl glowed, steadfast, waiting. Calon whispered, "I hear, I see." Though he knew the journey was far from done. The lights faded slowly, sinking back into the depths, leaving only stars above. Silence returned, though Calon's heart still beat with the rhythm of unseen songs. He turned to the sailors, his voice steady. "Do not fear. We are guided." They looked at him with unease, but none spoke against him now. For though afraid, they had seen the sea's wonders, undeniable and real. The night stretched on, calm as the ship moved without sail or oar. Calon lingered on deck, unable to sleep, listening to the ocean breathe. He thought of Poseidon, not as wrathful lord, but as keeper of balance. The god's hand was in every current, every glowing creature, every vision. And Calon felt honored, humbled, to be chosen to walk this hidden path. When dawn came, the horizon bled gold and crimson, the sea glittering anew. The sailors stirred, weary yet alive, their fear softened by the beauty around them. Calon's gaze remained fixed forward, for he knew more lay ahead. The path would not be simple, but already he had been gifted truth. That the ocean was not only power, but story, memory, and life eternal. As the sun rose higher, the glowing trail ahead sharpened once more. It curved gently, drawing them toward a vast shadow beneath the water. Calon's heart quickened, for the shape was no reef, no island. It was something larger, ancient, rising from the depths to meet him. The sailors cried out, pointing, fear flashing in their eyes. But Calon stood firm, whispering, "The journey deepens. We are close." The sea stirred, the surface trembling, as if preparing to reveal its hidden truth. The sea rumbled softly, and the vast shadow beneath the ship rose higher with each passing moment. Calon gripped the railing, eyes wide, heart racing with awe, not fear. The sailors whispered of monsters, but Calon sensed something ancient, something sacred. From the depths emerged a mountain of stone, covered in coral and shimmering kelp. It was no living beast, but a structure carved by time and tide. The water cascaded down its sides, sparkling as sunlight struck hidden ridges. The sailors gasped, some crossing themselves, others bowing their heads in silence. Calon stood firm, whispering, "It is a temple of the sea." The ship drifted closer, guided by unseen currents that carried them gently forward. At its base, archways yawned, vast and dark, leading into chambers below the waves. Pillars of stone rose tall, adorned with carvings etched by coral and shell. Symbols spiraled across the surfaces, patterns Calon had seen in visions before. They told of tides eternal, cycles of moon and sea, balance between gods and men. The sailors trembled, refusing to approach further, but Calon stepped to the bow. He placed his hand over his chest, whispering, "I will enter, even if alone." At that moment, the sea stirred, and dolphins returned, their bodies shimmering in light. They circled the ship once, then darted toward the archway like messengers. Calon nodded, his path certain, for this was no trap but a summons. He ordered a small boat lowered, and though hesitant, a few sailors obeyed. The little vessel rocked as Callan descended, clutching only faith as his compass. The dolphins swam beside him, guiding him toward the archway's shadowed mouth. The water glowed faintly, casting silver light upon the temple's ancient stones. Callan's heart pounded, yet his spirit felt steady, carried by the sea's embrace. As he passed beneath the arch, silence fell, deeper than night, heavier than time. The world above vanished, replaced by echoes of the deep. Inside, the temple stretched wide, its walls carved with more symbols of tide and pearl. Shapes of turtles, whales, and serpents danced across stone, guardians of eternal secrets. Callan reached out, fingers brushing the carvings, warm as though alive. A sudden hum filled the chamber, low and resonant, vibrating through bone and soul. The dolphins clicked and whistled, their voices echoing, harmonizing with the hum. Light bloomed faintly on the far wall, forming the outline of a circle. Within it, a pearl was etched, shining faintly as though real. Callan stepped closer, breath shallow, drawn to the glow as if to fire. The walls pulsed with light, each carving shimmering in answer to his presence. It was not a warning, but recognition. He was expected, welcomed. Callan whispered, "Poseidon, I walk your path with reverence and trust." The hum grew stronger, rising like waves, then softened into a gentle rhythm. A voice touched his mind, deep and calm, flowing like currents unseen. "You seek the treasure, not for greed, but for truth. Step forward, seeker." Callan trembled, tears rising, for he knew Poseidon had spoken to him. He bowed his head, whispering, "I am ready." The dolphins swam in circles, their glow casting brighter light on the chamber. The pearl's image grew clearer, and Callan saw lines stretching outward from it. They formed rivers, spirals, and paths, flowing back into the ocean itself. The treasure was more than an object. It was a source, a heart. Callan felt his spirit stir, knowing he was closer to its truth than ever before. The temple did not frighten him. It comforted him, sheltering him in its silence. The sea had given him another sign, a promise that the journey continued. He turned to leave, carrying the vision in his heart, his purpose stronger. As he stepped back into the boat, the dolphins leapt once, joy shimmering in spray. Callan raised his hand in thanks, whispering, "Guide me still, until the pearl is mine." The temple loomed behind, timeless, eternal, keeper of secrets in the deep. And ahead, the glowing path still waited, carrying him further into destiny. The sea was calm, yet a current pulled them forward, steady as a hand unseen. Callan sat in the small boat, eyes fixed on the glowing trail beneath the waves. The sailors rowed in silence, their fear hushed by the temple's lingering presence. Behind them, the great stone arch faded into mist, swallowed by the sea's embrace. Ahead, the light path stretched farther, winding deeper into endless water. Callan's heart throbbed with both wonder and weight, for he knew the journey tested him. The dolphins swam at either side, their sleek forms shining like living beacons. They moved with purpose, not playful now, but solemn, as though guardians of fate. Callan whispered to them, "I will follow, no matter the cost, no matter the tide." The dolphins leapt together once, and the path glowed brighter in answer. Hours passed, and the sun sank low, painting the sea in crimson and violet. The sailors shifted uneasily, glancing at the deepening shadow beneath the water. For there something vast stirred, not stone, not fish, but living presence. Callan felt it too, a pulse, immense and slow, echoing through the depths. It was not near, yet its awareness touched him, brushing his thoughts like tide. The air grew still, the sea surface trembling as if listening to unseen whispers. Then, the dolphins slowed, circling the boat, their eyes glowing faintly in twilight. They dove suddenly, disappearing into darkness, leaving Kalon waiting in silence. Moments later, the water ahead began to shimmer with light of its own. It rose slowly, forming curtains of silver glow, parting to reveal a hidden world. The sailors gasped, for the sea itself seemed to open, offering passage. Beneath, a canyon stretched wide, glowing along its ridges, a road into the abyss. Kalon's chest ached with awe, for this was no ordinary path, but sacred. He ordered the boat steered forward, though his voice shook with reverence. As they entered, silence deepened, broken only by the drip of oars. The walls of the canyon towered on either side, carved with spirals of light. They pulsed faintly, breathing as though alive, watching, remembering. Kalon ran his fingers along the water, feeling warmth radiate from the glowing depths. Each ripple shimmered outward, carrying his touch like a message across the sea. He whispered, "I walk in faith." And the canyon glowed brighter, as if answering. The sailors rowed on, though sweat lined their brows, fear gnawing at their silence. In the distance, a sound rose, low, resonant, like a song sung through stone. The canyon itself seemed to hum, a voice too deep for human words. Kalon closed his eyes, letting the sound pour through him, steady and vast. He saw visions again, the pearl glowing, waves crashing, stars mirrored in the sea. He saw himself standing at the center, not master, but student of the deep. The song shifted, and shapes appeared in the glow, moving along the canyon walls. They were shadows of creatures immense, whale-like yet stranger, guardians unseen. Their eyes glowed faintly, filled not with malice, but with timeless knowing. Kalon bowed his head, whispering, "I come in peace, seeker of wisdom." The shadows faded slowly, merging once more with the glowing walls. The hum softened, replaced by the steady rhythm of water around them. Then, ahead, the canyon widened, opening into a vast chamber of sea. The water here was brighter, alive with swarms of glowing fish swirling in patterns. They moved as one, painting circles and spirals, forming a single radiant image. It was the pearl again, vast and shining, traced by the dance of fish. The sailors gasped, one dropping his oar, overcome by the sight. Kalon's eyes filled with tears, for he knew this was no coincidence. The sea repeated its promise. The pearl was real, waiting, sacred. He whispered, "I understand." Though the weight of meaning pressed heavy on his heart, the dolphins returned, breaking the surface in joyous leaps, their song bright and clear. They swam ahead, beckoning, their voices echoing like laughter of the waves. Kalon smiled faintly, whispering, "Lead me on, for I will not turn back." The boat glided forward, the canyon behind fading, the chamber glowing before them. The journey had deepened, the sea unveiling its secrets step by step. And Kalon knew he was nearer now to Poseidon's treasure than ever before. The chamber of light widened, and the sea seemed endless, a cathedral carved by eternity. The boat drifted slowly, guided more by current than by the hands of the sailors. Kalon leaned forward, eyes wide, his breath shallow with awe and reverence. Around them, fish of every shape glowed, painting streams of light across the water. Schools shifted like ink in the tide, weaving pictures too vast for human hands. A spiral appeared, then a circle, then a wave, symbols of the sea's eternal language. The sailors whispered prayers under their breath, voices trembling in the glowing silence. Calonne listened, not with ears, but with heart, as if the sea itself spoke. He felt the rhythm, not words, but truths, carried in light and motion. Then, the dolphins surfaced again, their song bright, weaving into the glowing patterns. The fish answered, forming a great current that pointed deeper, beyond the chamber. Calonne whispered, "I hear you," his voice thin yet certain in the vastness. The dolphins dove ahead, leading them once more through a narrowing passage of glow. The water darkened beyond, but the trail shone bright, unwavering like a star. The sailors rowed in silence, their faces pale, caught between fear and wonder. One murmured, "We go where no man was meant to go," his voice nearly lost. Calonne turned to him, steady, and said, "We go where truth calls us." The oars dipped again, the rhythm steady, as they followed the light into shadow. The passage grew tighter, walls of rock close, pulsing faintly with blue veins. Each pulse echoed like a heartbeat, slow, ancient, filling the water with presence. Calonne touched the sea again, and visions stirred, faint but clear in his mind. He saw an island long lost, its temple rising high, crowned by flame of pearl. He saw priests in white robes, chanting to the sea, offering gifts of shells and song. Then the vision blurred, waves crashing, temples broken, the pearls sinking to the abyss. Calonne gasped softly, gripping the boat, the sorrow of ages pressing on his chest. He whispered, "It was lost because of pride, but it waits still." The sailors glanced at him, uneasy, for his voice carried more than mortal weight. The dolphins surfaced again, splashing lightly, breaking the heaviness with joy. Their laughter like song filled the cavern, easing hearts, drawing smiles from weary faces. The boat pressed on, and the passage opened into a cavern vast and still. Here, the water was black, glass reflecting the glow above like twin stars. Stalactites of crystal hung from the ceiling, dripping light instead of water. Each drop fell in slow shimmer, dissolving into ripples across the dark sea. Calonne raised his hand, catching one drop, warm and glowing in his palm. It sank into his skin, leaving no mark but a sense of quiet strength. The sailors bowed their heads, humbled, for they knew this place was not mortal. In the stillness, a low hum rose again, deeper than before, resonant as earth itself. The cavern shook softly, yet not with danger, but with welcome, like a heartbeat. Calonne closed his eyes, letting the sound move through him, steadying his spirit. He felt the pearl's presence stronger now, closer, like a flame hidden in shadow. It was not yet seen, but it called, patient and vast, waiting to be found. The dolphins leapt once more, their glow casting circles across the black water. They swam toward a tunnel, its entrance ringed with crystals like teeth of light. Calonne nodded, whispering, "Lead us, for I am ready to see what lies beyond." The sailors rowed forward, their silence heavy, their oars breaking mirrored water. Every stroke echoed louder here, as if the cavern itself listened and remembered. Calonne felt the weight of countless ages pressing around him, yet not crushing. It was the weight of memory, of secrets kept by sea and stone. The tunnel loomed closer, its light shifting like breath, alive and aware. Calonne's heart throbbed, for he knew the true journey was only beginning. Beyond that gate, the pearl waited, along with truths no man had yet spoken. He whispered again, not to men, but to the sea, "I will not turn away." The cavern glowed brighter for a moment, as if hearing, as if agreeing. The boat slipped slowly into the tunnel, swallowed by light, carried toward destiny. The tunnel of light stretched endlessly, its glow steady, yet alive with shifting waves of color. The boat glided forward, carried more by unseen currents than by the weary sailor's oars. Kalon sat upright, his hands resting on his knees, his eyes sharp with quiet resolve. The dolphins darted ahead, weaving through the glowing walls, their song echoing like bells. The sailors whispered again, their voices hushed, afraid of disturbing the sacred silence. Every sound they made echoed back, doubled, as though the tunnel itself spoke to them. Kalon whispered softly, "The sea remembers," and the glow pulsed brighter in answer. Symbols appeared briefly on the walls, spirals, waves, stars, all flowing like breath in stone. The sailors trembled, for the sea was no longer water, but memory carved in light. Kalon leaned forward, sensing the weight of unseen eyes watching from the depths. Not hostile, not cruel, but vast, eternal, and deeply aware of every mortal breath. The tunnel curved suddenly, opening to a vast chasm lit by a pale blue glow. Here the sea was darker, deeper, and silence pressed down like a heavy shroud. At the center of the chasm floated a single column of rising bubbles, endless and bright. The dolphins circled the column, their song weaving with its rhythm, calling to Kalon. He rose slowly, clutching the edge of the boat, his heart pounding like a drum. The sailors gasped, pointing, for within the column shapes moved, shadows of beings immense. They were neither fish nor man, but outlines of guardians older than the gods themselves. Their eyes burned faintly, not cruel but piercing, carrying knowledge of endless time. Kalon bowed his head, whispering, "I come not to steal, but to serve." The waters stilled, the shadows paused, and the column pulsed brighter as if listening. Then a voice rose, not with words, but with a sound that shook bone and soul. It was the sea itself speaking, vast and layered, echoing through every ripple and breath. Kalon closed his eyes, letting the voice pass through him like tide over stone. He felt the truth. The pearl was not mere treasure, but a bond between man and sea. It was given once, long ago, to bind harmony. But pride had broken the balance. The pearl sank, waiting not to be found, but to be understood by a worthy heart. Kalon's breath trembled, yet he spoke, "Then let me be that heart, if I am chosen." The sailors bowed, some weeping softly, for the weight of the sea pressed on them too. The dolphins leapt once more, their joy bright, as if to seal his vow. The shadows in the column drifted closer, circling Kalon's boat with slow reverence. One passed beneath, and the wood trembled, yet did not break, upheld by unseen strength. The column split suddenly, forming a spiral path of light that led downward. The dolphins dove into it, their glow trailing like stars pulled into a whirlpool. Kalon stood tall, pointing forward, and whispered, "We follow, for the path is clear." The sailors rowed, their fear overcome by awe, their faces lit by pale light. The boat tilted downward, sliding gently into the spiral, carried by current not their own. The walls glowed brighter as they descended, forming images of seas long gone. They saw temples built on cliffs, ships of gold, men singing hymns to the tide. They saw storms unleashed by pride, temples shattered, ships swallowed whole. And finally, they saw the pearl, falling, sinking, glowing faint as it was lost. Kalon's chest burned with sorrow, for he felt the loss as though it were his own. Yet the visions changed, showing him now, guiding the boat, the dolphins leading. The pearl shone again, brighter this time, as though waiting for his hand. The spiral path widened, opening into another vast chamber, brighter than any before. Here, The walls glowed with veins of silver, and the water shimmered with living light. At the center stood a pedestal of stone, ancient, weathered, yet unbroken. Upon it rested the pearl, vast as a shield, glowing with soft, eternal radiance. The sailors gasped, tears streaming, for they knew they beheld the heart of the sea. Charon stood, his breath catching, as the dolphins circled the pearl with reverence. The shadows from the chasm followed, bowing low, their forms fading into the glow. Charon whispered, "At last," and stepped forward, his spirit heavy with awe and humility. For before him lay Poseidon's treasure, not of gold, but of balance, of life everlasting. The night deepened, and the ocean stretched wide like an endless dream beneath the stars. Ariadne held the compass close, its faint glow steady, guiding her through the uncertain waters. Beside her, Nereus floated with calm grace, his presence a silent promise of wisdom and safety. The sea was quiet now, yet alive with secrets, each wave carrying whispers older than memory itself. She felt the weight of her journey, yet also its wonder, the balance of fear and hope within her. Every moment at sea was a lesson, every ripple a reminder of the vast mystery she was part of. The compass trembled slightly, pulling her forward as if urging her to embrace what lay ahead. Then, in the distance, faint lights flickered below the water, shimmering like lanterns in the dark. They pulsed softly, glowing with colors no painter could capture, alive with their own secret rhythm. Nereus tilted his head and spoke, his voice gentle as the tide. "The gates are opening, child." Ariadne stared in awe, her breath caught as a vast archway of coral rose from the ocean floor. It was carved by time itself, adorned with shells, pearls, and living lights that swirled like stars. The gateway shimmered as if breathing, inviting her to enter, yet warning of the trials within. Nereus spoke again. "This is the threshold, the border between the known and the eternal deep." Her heart raced, but she nodded, steadying herself with courage she had not known she possessed. The compass pulsed brighter, as if eager, aligning itself perfectly with the heart of the archway. She swam closer, and the water shifted, warmer, alive, as though it recognized her presence. The archway hummed softly, its voice resonant like the ocean's deepest song, low yet powerful. As she passed beneath its curve, light wrapped around her, and the world beyond shifted. Gone was the open sea, replaced by a realm vast and radiant, an underwater city of wonder. Towers of crystal rose like frozen flames, streets paved with coral, bridges spun of living silver. Schools of fish glimmered like moving jewels, weaving patterns through the shining spires of light. The city breathed with magic, its beauty ancient, untouched by storms, a dream made visible. Ariadne floated in silence, her eyes wide, every detail sinking into her heart like a blessing. Nereus watched her, a faint smile in his ancient eyes, as though he too saw it new through her. "This is Poseidon's realm," he whispered, "the eternal seat of the ocean's power and memory." Voices rose in the distance, not of men or gods, but the singing of the sea itself, eternal and clear. Ariadne felt small within its grandeur, yet also chosen, as if the sea itself had called her here. She drifted forward, drawn toward a central temple, vast and shimmering with power and grace. The temple's walls were alive with carvings, shifting with light, telling stories of tides and stars. Each carving seemed to move, alive in memory, carrying the weight of endless ages within them. The compass grew hot in her palm, glowing so bright she almost feared to hold it any longer. She lifted her gaze and saw the gates of the temple. guarded by statues that seemed alive. They were great guardians of the sea, half fish, half man, carved from pearl and black stone. Their eyes glowed with blue fire, watching her with a silence that spoke of trials to come. Nereus placed a hand upon her shoulder, steadying her as the weight of the moment grew. "Do not fear them," he said softly. "They judge not by words, but by the truth in your spirit." The gates began to shift, slow and heavy, groaning like the ocean's oldest bones moving. Light streamed from within, brighter than any flame, calling her deeper into the mystery. Ariadne inhaled, her courage rising as the compass pointed true toward the shining heart. This was no longer a dream or legend, but the path of destiny she had chosen to walk. The gates opened fully, and beyond them lay the first glimpse of Poseidon's hidden treasure. Her journey was far from over, yet the heart of it had begun, deeper than she ever dreamed. The ocean was quiet now, as if holding its breath, the journey's echoes drifting softly into silence. Ariadne stood before the treasure, yet it was not gold, not jewels, but something far greater. It was a sphere of light, pulsing gently, alive with the rhythm of tides and the memory of ages. She reached out, her hand trembling, and the light embraced her, flowing through her like water. Visions opened before her eyes, stories of the sea, its triumphs, its sorrows, its endless patience. She saw coral rise and fall, islands born and lost, storms passing like fleeting shadows of time. The treasure was not possession, but understanding, the gift of hearing the ocean's eternal song. Ariadne wept softly, not with sorrow, but with wonder, for she knew she was changed forever. Nereus smiled, his voice a calm wave. "Now you see, child, the treasure is not found, but felt." The compass in her palm dissolved into light, merging with her spirit, leaving only its memory. She no longer needed its guidance, for the sea itself lived within her heart, whispering its truth. The temple around them shimmered, glowing brighter, as if rejoicing in her awakening. The guardians bowed their heads, their eyes calm, for they too recognized her bond with the sea. "Poseidon watches," Nereus said, "and he is pleased, for you came not with greed, but with heart." The great doors opened once more, and the path to the open waters called her gently home. She turned to Nereus, her voice soft. "Will I see you again, old friend of the tides?" He smiled faintly, eyes deep as the horizon. "You carry me now, wherever the sea touches you." With that, he faded into the water, becoming one with the endless blue, silent yet eternal. Ariadne swam upward, her body light, her spirit bound no longer by fear, but lifted by wonder. The city faded behind her, its beauty eternal, hidden once more beneath the deep waves. The archway shimmered as she passed, sealing the realm, leaving only whispers in the water. When she broke the surface, dawn was rising, the horizon painted with gold and gentle fire. She breathed the morning air, fresh and sweet, carrying the promise of new journeys to come. Her ship waited, bobbing gently, a reminder of where she began. Yet she knew she was not the same. The crew looked to her, questions in their eyes, yet they saw the calm strength within her. She spoke no word of jewels or crowns, only of light, of silence, of listening to the sea. They did not fully understand, yet they felt her truth and bowed quietly, trusting her heart. The waves carried them onward, but Ariadne's gaze lingered, drawn back to the endless horizon. She knew the treasure was not hers to keep, but to honor, to protect, to pass on in silence. The sea had given her its song, and with it the duty to remind others of its living soul. As the sails caught the wind, She whispered a promise to the ocean that had chosen her. "I will carry your voice," she said, "so that the world above never forgets the world below." The wind answered with a soft sigh, and the waves rose to cradle her ship like gentle hands. The horizon widened, endless and bright, and she felt no fear, only belonging to both worlds. The tale of Poseidon and the treasure of the deep was not of riches, but of remembering. For the ocean's gift was life itself, a reminder that to listen is to truly see and to belong. And so her story closed, not with an end, but with a beginning, carried forever by the sea.